York Island, from the Main Street corners to the halls of justice. This land belongs to you and me. Justice has faltered, fairness is gone. The corporations have long since won. They corrupt our Congress, that's not okay. The High Court gave our vote away. We occupy, this land is our land, demanding justice from court decisions. We want the lawyers and judges too. Return our land to me and you.
Yeah! Citizens United, a conservative 5-justice majority of the Supreme Court, gutted campaign finance laws, saying that they violated corporations' freedom of speech. The court ruled that it was unconstitutional to limit in any way the amount of money that corporations can spend on attack ads or other electioneering communications to influence a political race. Citizens United opened the floodgates to unlimited independent election expenditures by corporations. The court struck down previous limitations on outside spending, the money channeled through organizations outside an official campaign, but which nonetheless run ads, make phone calls, and do lots of other things to support a campaign. With Citizens United, the Supreme Court not only made it easier to fund this kind of electioneering, but also made it harder for citizens to know who's actually behind it. Citizens United overturned more than a century of legal precedent by awarding corporations the rights of citizens with regard to electioneering. The court did away with limits on when corporations can spend on elections, how much they can spend, and how they can spend their money, allowing unlimited contributions from corporate treasuries to flood the electoral landscape. Justice Stevens wrote the dissent on behalf of the 4 liberals on the court. He wrote, "The court's ruling threatens to undermine the integrity of elected institutions across the nation. While American democracy is imperfect, few outside the majority of this court would have thought its flaws included a dearth of corporate money in politics." Stevens added, "In the context of election to public office, the distinction between corporate and human speakers is significant. Corporations cannot vote or run for office. The financial resources, legal structure, and instrumental orientation of corporations raise legitimate concerns about their role in the electoral process." Stevens also wrote that corporations have no consciences, no beliefs, no feelings, no thoughts, no desires. Corporations, he wrote, help structure and facilitate the activities of human beings, to be sure, and their personhood often serves as a useful legal fiction, but they are not themselves members of we the people, by whom and for whom our Constitution was established. So how did corporations become persons? The primary purpose of the 14th Amendment, which provides that all persons have a right to equal protection under the laws, was enacted to protect the freed slaves. In 1886, the Supreme Court decided the case of Santa Clara County versus Southern Pacific Railroad. A passing remark by the Chief Justice before oral argument that corporations are entitled to protection under the 14th Amendment was recorded by the court reporter. That casual remark was picked up in later Supreme Court decisions affirming that corporations have constitutional rights. Corporations may own property, they can sue and be sued, they have the right to enter into contracts and advertise their products. Corporations have Fourth Amendment protection against unreasonable searches and seizures, and corporations are entitled to due process of law. Now, as Ann said, Citizens United gave birth to super PACs, which can destroy a candidate, no holds barred, no responsibility to those pulling the strings. They can raise unlimited amounts of money, and they are supposed to be independent from candidates. Now, those of you who've been following Stephen Colbert's candidacy or exploratory candidacy, his exploratory candidacy for the United States of South Carolina, will know that when he handed over the reins of his super PAC to Jon Stewart, someone he had a passing acquaintance with, that now, of course, they have no coordination with each other. It's a fabulous satire. I suggest that you tune in to both of those shows, The Daily Show and The Colbert Report. Now, these super PACs have changed elections. Over 1/3 of all outside ad spending in the 2010 congressional elections came from secret sources made possible by Citizens United. Super PACs gave Republican candidates who lost badly in Iowa and New Hampshire the money to keep going. Usually by now they would be out, but the super PACs are making everyone spend more money. As former Senator Russ Feingold, who was a Democrat from Wisconsin, himself a victim of Citizens United spending, said, "It's going to be worse in 2012 unless we do something."
City councils in San Diego County to adopt a resolution calling for a constitutional amendment to end corporate personhood. In passing this resolution, San Diego City and other cities in our county will join Los Angeles, Albany, New York, Duluth, Minnesota, New York City, Chapel Hill, and Pueblo, and the state of Montana. We must take a stand against corporate constitutional rights now, and we must place this on our ballot before we go to the polls next November.
Yes! Yes!
Okay, please join Women Occupy San Diego, Common Cause, and move to amend and sign our petition to end corporate personhood. And you must do this before Memorial Day, before the election season kicks off in 2010. What happened? It fell on deaf ears. So Mary Wilson and those other leaders felt very strongly that this action had to take place before those elections really kicked off. Unfortunately, her demand fell on deaf ears. During those campaigns in 2010, more than 84 super PACs were formed, raising $85 million. So far in this election cycle, 276 super PACs have been formed. 276. They've already collected $32 million, and this is just the beginning. Now, even last week, $19.1 million had already been spent. The PAC of Mitt Romney, called Restore Our Future, dispersed $4.6 million attacking Newt Gingrich. Did you see how effective that was?
Yeah, I did.
It's pretty scary.